Hello and welcome to the Winners of Sheffield Podcast. I'm here today at Cubana Tapas Bar meeting Adrian Bagnoli. I've known you for a very long time, Adrian, about 25 years,
Long
but
time.
thought it'd be good to come in and find out a little bit more about you. So, have you always lived in Sheffield? You've always been in Sheffield?
Yeah, most of my life apart from a year out when I worked on cruise ships for a year. But yeah, Sheffield's always been my home. My parents came over here 70 years ago from Italy. My dad to find work because back in those days, Italy wasn't the best place to live, believe it or not. It is now, but it wasn't then.
Whereabouts in Italy?
They're in a small village between Rome and Naples, in the mountains. It's beautiful, beautiful place. So he came over when he was 19, stayed for a year. Originally, he was supposed to work in the coal mines. That's what he came here for. Ended up in the steelworks and then found his way into catering, working at the Grosvenor House Hotel on Charter Road for many, many years as the bar manager there. So went back, married my mother and had 3 kids, of which I am the last one. At the bus stop as a kid, going to school and seeing these guys with the briefcases. And that's what I want to do. A 9-to-5 job. That's what I want to do. So I can come home and watch TV whenever I want, without working nights like my father used to do. But obviously it started off like that, but things changed as time went on. So personally, at school I went to St Wilfrid's on Milhouses Lane, then All Saints. I enjoyed school, but I didn't try hard enough. I could have tried harder. Not an academic? No, I feel like I could have been if I put the effort in, but unfortunately I didn't put the effort in. It's good for, I think, discipline and morals. You need, outside of the home, you need to learn rules and, following rules and this, that and the other. I think it's good for that. And obviously, it can lead to A-levels. My daughter's in A-levels at the moment. She's 16 and a half, so she just started doing the A-levels. My boy's only 13 and a half, so it's plenty of time for him, although I think it's my daughter will probably go on to uni. I don't think my son will, but you never know. Know. We'll support them either way. Yeah. But I think it's essential. I didn't go to uni. It's not a regret, but I always think I know how much I would have loved it. Yeah. Probably the social side of it more than the studying side. So
you were saying after school you went to college?
Yeah, after school I went to do a business course for 2 years, and alongside, people remember the name YTS, alongside it, or YTS. It was great, earning 30 quid a week back then. And halfway through, my placement was at the magistrate's court, the general admin stuff. And I enjoyed it. It was a good working experience. It was a good insight into how the world of work was.
So you're doing that alongside college, was that?
Yeah, alongside college. So it was supposed to be a 2-year course. But after a year, I applied for a job that I saw in the job centre. It was admin work at the Manpower Services Commission that became Employment, Education, DWP. So I applied and as a clerical assistant got the job, and that was my first full-time job, working at Moorfoot for the Manpower Services Commission. It was great. Those days were very different to the way it was when I left. There was a bar in the building, there was squash courts in the building, a pool table in the building. In fact, it was a really good place, to have the first job, really. And the people I worked with were very nice as well. I worked there for 2 or 3 years and then realised what I wanted to do, which was marketing. So I tried my best to, and I did eventually get in after about 3 years, got into the marketing department and working in a field that I really enjoyed. And whilst I was in that marketing department, I did night school actually. So education became important later. Yeah. Because 2 nights a week I was going up to Parson Cross College and doing the Chartered Institute of Marketing on a Tuesday and Thursday night. Problem was I was still young, so I was always out the night before. So half of the time I'd be sleeping in the class. And when I passed, the lecturer came to do a presentation. Actually, it was at Warford where I was working at the time, to our marketing team. He said, Adrian, nice to see you. He said, how the hell did you pass? You were asleep half the time. It's not surprising when you're coming home at 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning from the Leadmill or wherever else.
I was going to ask where you were going back in the day.
Well, you know, like a lot of people my age, the Leadmill was a big part, but before that, it was Isabella's and Josephine's, Sinatra's.
I think I went to Josephine's once, like my last week at school. We went to Josephine's, and not long after that, it was sort of closed or became something else.
Yeah. I can't remember what it became.
Roxy, did you?
Roxy before that as well. Yeah, and my first proper drunken experience there. Everybody remembers when they got really hammered the first time, and mine was in there.
Good stuff. So you mentioned earlier that you obviously spent the majority of your life in Sheffield, apart from you ended up doing a year on cruise ship, did you say? So where did that come from? Was that obviously short?
So I always knew that, okay, so I wasn't doing uni, but I wanted to have a life experience, so I thought, okay, initially, my brother worked in the travel industry. He worked for Thompson Holidays, and he was in charge of all of Spain and Portugal for Thompson, so that was an easy route in if I wanted it. So initially that was the plan. So I took a year out with that in mind. But in the end, I decided to go and work on cruise ships and be a bartender on a cruise ship. And one of the best things I did really.
Sounds better than uni.
I don't know about that. But it was great because I got to see a lot of the world, including a 52-day cruise of South America, Argentina, Chile, Ecuador.
And is that where you got the sort of taste for Cubanas?
Yeah, there was quite a few Latino guys working on the ships at that time. And back in the days of cassettes, they used to put their cassettes on with salsa and, merengue and all that kind of stuff. And I'm like, I love this music. I knew I liked it anyway, but hearing it day in, day out, I used to share a cabin with a guy from, I think it was from Costa Rica actually. I realised quite how much I liked it, and but the experience of dealing with mainly American passengers and making cocktails and living away from home and meeting new people. There was 42 different nationalities just in crew on the ships, so that gave me the kind of the insight into how to deal with people from loads of different places, basically.
So when was this? Was this 90s?
94. So, I flew to Miami. And,
94 was American World Cup as well, didn't you get?
Yeah, well, I think, saying that, I think it was 93 actually, because I remember watching England, remember the famous England-Holland game where Graham Taylor was kicking off? I watched that in my hotel room in Miami. So it was.
I was going to say we didn't make it in the end.
No. So got to Miami, got in the cab first time. So I think I've been to America before on a holiday, but not on my own in that kind of circumstance. So I got there and got in the taxi, told him the address. I said, "What's that area like, my friend?" And he said, "Not so good." So the hotel wasn't in a particularly good area. I thought, okay, good start. So we got there, then we had to go to the office the next day as the minibus took us there, had a medical, all that kind of stuff. And then 5 days later, we were on a ship. I was on a ship in Tampa, going out from Tampa, and that first ship I went on, went to Key West for a few days, at Mexico, Cozumel, and then back to Tampa, and then it was a weekend party cruise just with Americans coming on board. Which was good, but I wanted to see a bit more of the world, so after about 3 or 4 months, I asked for a transfer to a different ship with the same company. First ship was called Regent Rainbow, and the second one was the Regent Sea, and again, great experience. The second ship just went to so many different places. It was, including, South America, Central America, the Caribbean, Aruba, Grenada, Barbados, Antigua, Belize, all those kind of places. Across South America as well. And yeah, we didn't have a lot of time. I mean, we were 3 days in Rio de Janeiro when everybody had a day and a half. So,
you gotta make it count, man.
Gotta make it count. So we did all the American Sugarloaf Mountain, and did all the tourist attractions. And there's no better way of seeing so many places in a short space of time than doing something like I did.
Mm-hmm.
And like I say, it was a great experience. I'm dealing with people really, as well as working hard, because some of the time you were doing 60, 70-hour weeks.
Yeah.
And back then it was a basic minimum wage and a percentage of the drinks that you sold.
Right. Okay.
So it was hard work. And the food for the crew wasn't particularly good at the time until we kicked off, and then it improved.
Mine, it sounds like a nice, like you said, a nice way to see the world. Probably weren't getting paid daft money, but you get into.
It wasn't about the money.
3 digs and.
Yeah. Although the dollar was $2 to the pound then, so it was decent. Now it's like 134.
Mm. Well, most things it's sort of like for like, isn't it? It's
Yeah.
considered almost.
Yeah. But it was a great experience. I met some great people. Some of whom are still friends now, keep in touch. Doing that kind of thing is, working away. I think everybody should do that. And this is the pity about Brexit, really, because even for the likes of my daughter, my son, at the moment, and I think they will change it because they're stopping people from having those experiences. I think they need to allow young people to travel and work in other countries. So Liliana, my daughter, she wants to go and work in Spain where my brother lives, or Italy where we have loads of family. At the moment, she can't.
No.
And that is a real big pity, real shame. So obviously I've got the option of having an Italian passport or a European passport. I've never really needed it, but I'm going ahead with that now because, for my kids, it's a nice thing to be able to do.
Yeah.
But I've got a feeling they will introduce that going down the line because they realise that they're stopping young people from having those experiences. So that was good. I came back to my day job after the cruise ships, and obviously I had a taste for Latin music.
Mm-hmm.
I went to my best mate Maurizio, who was known as in Ecclesall Road. We grew up together from being from when we can remember really.
So you're the same age?
He's 2 years older than me.
Right.
And so our parents were friends, so we were always together, barbecues, parties, and that kind of stuff. And so came back and I said to my friend, I said, to Maurizio and other friends, Latin music, it's just something about it, it's so passionate, it's so fun, it's such a good vibe, so positive. We need to do something in Sheffield and have a night or something, rent out a club. And so at the time I was going to London quite a bit with the day job in marketing, and we went. My brother recommended a couple of salsa hotspot, night spots. So we went a couple of times. I thought, this is brilliant. We definitely need to do this in Sheffield. And then, back to Maurizio. His sister got married in Florence. We went to the wedding. The wedding party finished quite early. That's the way they do it in the north. In the south, where our family are from, it's an all-nighter anyway. It finished quite early, so we thought, what do we do now? So let's go to Florence, go to this club. The club was called the Maracanã, after the football stadium, which I'd been to the previous year with a cruise ship. And the vibe, the atmosphere, it was just amazing. We definitely need to do something in Sheffield. So we approached what was Isabella's, a club called Europa. Myself, John from Northtown now, Tony from Santino's, we knew well.
Yeah.
Both had restaurants at the time, and I said, yeah, you know what, we need to do something. We need to do something, you know, that introduces Sheffield to Latin music, you know, and brings that smile, that good fun into the club scene. That it was there, don't get me wrong, everybody was having fun, but you know, the only dancing that people did together was 5 to 2 for the smoochy section.
Yeah.
Which was alright, but you know, this was different. So we approached a guy called Bill, who was the manager at Europa, and said, right, we're going to put this lighting night on. We think we can get quite a few people. We know quite a few people, but you know, we're just going to push it really hard. If we have a 7-week build-up on a Wednesday night, we take the door, you take the bar, and let's see how it goes. We'll do one-off.
Mm-hmm.
So we had 7 weeks. We created the posters, the flyers, fly posted everywhere in Sheffield. Flyers outside clubs, outside Leadenhall, Hot Pants, wherever, and just got all our friends on board. But the other thing back then is most of the restaurants were independent and a lot of them were Italian. So we all knew the Italian community. We used to go around once a month. Well, to start off the first time, I went round with the posters, with the flyers, and told them about this night, and you know, it's going to be great, blah, blah, blah. And they all pushed it for us as well, so it was a great network.
Yeah.
It was a great avenue to get to the customer. So if they had a packed Saturday night in, let's say, the Flying Pizza on West Street, which was in the 90s, was round, if they had a packed place, then the waiters would be, you know, dishing out the flyers and, you know, helping promote what was called Viva Salsa. That's what we called the night.
Mm.
We went back to the club in London and arranged for a band. It was actually a Brazilian band, and the DJ, who was also Brazilian, and we arranged for them to come up and do the first night. We arranged for a dance teacher to come. We went to Leeds and saw what they were doing. There were a couple of guys called Luby and Chico that were doing a night in Leeds called Casa Latina. We went to that, met those guys, and Helena and Nikolai came to do a dance class before the night started. The difference for us is that we made sure that, okay, so everyone's coming, what we want to do straight away is create that happy vibe. So what would work really well? A shot of tequila on the way in with lime and salt. So a couple of guys dishing those out as people came into the club, and it was like a shot of that and the Latin music. What a perfect combination.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't know how many we were going to get, you know, in on the first night. You know, we hoped for a couple of hundred, but we didn't know. But as I say, the day was really, it was a beautiful sunny day. We couldn't ask for, you know, when we woke up that morning, it was like, wow, 26, 27 degrees.
Mm-hmm.
So the setting was perfect. It was a new club. And that afternoon we were in Henry's, which was a popular home at the time, and got a call from Calendar because we'd sent them the details. He said, yeah, you know what, we want to come and film. So I thought, yeah, brilliant, okay, so it's going to be on local news, that's fantastic. So the doors opened, we weren't sure how many we were going to get in, but we managed to get 700 people on that first night. And you know, it blew us away. What an atmosphere it was, because you know, most people had not experienced that kind of thing before. The band were fantastic, the DJ was great, the tequila was flowing, and that was a stepping stone for many of the things Latin-wise. But you know, it was once people experienced that, they wanted to experience it again. So we carried on doing the night every fortnight. For 3 years, something like that, and it was brilliant, and that led on to the first Cubana that we had in on Trippet Lane.
Mm. Yeah, which is first place I remember. I've been down there this morning. Noticed it's a Chinese place.
Yeah. We left there in 2014, so we had 14 years down there. And they were amazing times because, it was unique, Tapas, there wasn't hardly anyone doing it at the time.
It always felt very like on the restaurant side of things, because obviously you've got the bar and dance floor area, and then, but it was very neat, wasn't it? You were sort of, you've probably got a lot of covers in there. Very well sort of.
We made it adaptable because, it was a restaurant up until 10:30 most nights.
So then you cleared the dance floor?
We kind of moved the tables and chairs into what was the bin store next door, but had quite a lot of space.
Yeah.
And that was like a military operation, for 4 or 5 people passing tables and chairs and moving in next door.
I was like 19, 20 when I was first coming down there, and I remember those nights. For me, it's sort of like the foundations of Sheffield when you're going down there. Yeah. I think in a city where most places don't last 5 years, 10 years, for you to still be here. I know you're not in the same place. But
when we started, I said, like you said now, most places only last 3 years, so 3 years I'm out, get the best price, we'll go. But it was fun and people liked it, and the fact that it was on a back street, it wasn't on the main drag, meant that people came out of the way to go.
You had to go there, yeah. Sheffield's always been a little bit like that as well, hasn't it?
Yeah.
You go to cities like Liverpool and everything's in a, whereas Sheffield, I remember middle of winter and you're walking from Forum down to Trippet Lane or whatever, and it's sort of, you're freezing your nabs off thinking, somewhere.
And don't forget, at the time, most bars shut at 11, we had an extra hour, so that was good as well. We opened till 12. And it wasn't easy getting that extra hour at the time, but we did. So that helped us.
That's where I've always felt like we're a little bit behind the likes of Leeds and Manchester and stuff like that, because there's always, you get to that part of the night and you've got a selection, where Sheffield's always been, you've got a selection, but it's quite limited.
It's different now because, late bars are everywhere, but at that time, most bars had 11, some 12, some 1, but not too many. So that was an advantage for us, to be fair. We made the most of the food side and then cleared the tables and chairs away to create the dance floor and have the light and DJs. And it was different, it was, niche really. And people used to come, love it, same thing, fell in, just made it their home, a bit of a family vibe, as in community vibe.
I used to remember you sold the Cuban cigars down there as well.
Yeah, we still do now. But back then you could smoke them inside.
That's what I mean,
That's the difference.
Yeah.
I can't remember what year it was when they stopped.
It's about 2006, the smoking wasn't it?
I remember giving away everybody that dined in the restaurant that Saturday night, I think was the last one that we opened. Everybody got a free cigar and spotted it up at the table. So that was a cool thing.
So obviously from the birth of the nights, and then you sort of said that after 4 or 5 years you then started Cubanas. Were you doing other things business-wise alongside that?
Well, at the time I still had the day job, so I went, as soon as we opened in 2000, I went 4 days a week, and then within a couple of years 3 days a week, so I could manage the two at the same time. But I was enjoying the day job, and I was learning. I was in the marketing team. One of my jobs was to manage a PR company based in London to do with a campaign to employ over 50s.
Right.
And here I am, over 50. So that, I learned a lot. I used to brief ministers on advertising campaigns and PR campaigns, and helped organise 2 events at number 10 and number 11 Downing Street. And, so walking around number 11 and number 10 because it's attached, and walking into the cabinet room, things like that I would never have got to do, but, they were great experiences. And, dealing with people in government and understanding how government works has really helped me along the way as well. But yeah, one time I came to do a recce in number 11, just to see where we were going to put the displays and things like that. And the housekeeper, I've forgotten her name now, but she was there, and I'd arranged to see her. She was going to show me around. And as I walked in, she said, Adrian, nice to see you. She was holding a baby, and I said, that's cool, it's a cute little baby. Who's that then? It's John Brown, Gordon's son, Gordon Brown, because he was Chancellor at the time. And then, so things like that are surreal. Then you walk up the steps with all the photographs of previous prime ministers, and to have opportunities like that was amazing, really, because there's not many jobs you can do that. Then we got there for, I think it was the second event, the second year we did it, and one of the PR team came up to me and said, hey, look out the window of number 10, and there's Tony Blair having a meeting in the garden with Jerry Adams from Sinn Féin. And that was kind of before, that was around the time of the peace talks. So it was like, wow, that's kind of history I'm looking at now. And so things like that, you can't, you're just part of your learning and experiences. So the day job for me was a great foundation to be able to kind of move on in business and in marketing as well. 14 years down there, had some great times. The Bonavista Social Club, which were a massive band from Cuba at the time, came down twice, had lunch, did the show, had the after party at Cubana, got a couple of members to play. Rolando Luna, the pianist, he was 21 at the time. He was playing the piano to Guantanamera in Cubana. And some amazing nights. Roberto Duran, the boxer.
Yeah, I've seen that on the website.
Many people consider the best pound-for-pound boxer of all time. Ricky Hahn, obviously passed away recently.
Yeah. Did he just rock up, or did someone?
Well, he came with a friend of mine that I knew who lived in Coventry, and he's big into his boxing. And he came to watch a fight. I can't remember. It might have been Cal Brook, actually. I'm not sure. Could have been Cal Brook. But he came to watch the fight, and he came for dinner beforehand. So that was good, and he was, as everybody says, just a lovely, warm guy, down to earth.
Life and soul of the party.
Yeah. No, it was a brilliant experience, really. Brilliant, seeing those kind of people.
And the Roberto Duran, how did that come about?
Well, that was a similar thing, really. Well, not a similar thing. We went to an event, I think that was the Grosvenor House Hotel, actually. And it was a dinner, Q&A.
He was at that. He was doing a speaking.
He was doing it, and I knew the guy that was driving him around, and he said, we'll come to you afterwards. I said, good man, bring him down. So he came down, I got some champagne, and he stayed, and we had a bit of an after party, and that was good, because he's from Panama, and there's a movie about him, I think, came out a few years afterwards, and what a top guy he was, again, just down to earth. And
you and Maurizio compete, because obviously you got Sylvester Stallone.
Yeah, he did. We don't compete, but I tell you what, that was a special night when Sylvester Stallone came to.
Were you there?
I was there, yeah. So.
And how did that come about? Obviously, that's Maurizio.
Yeah, of course, yeah. I mean, just briefly, we were there Sunday afternoon, and the promotion team, that was another Q&A that he was doing at City Hall. Said, we like this place, they were eating there during the day. I think they were just checking it out, and said, we might bring Sylvester Stallone later. And I said, okay, we're part of the promotion team. His name was Joe Ricotta, which I always thought was a fantastic name. And so Maurizio told me, I actually happened to be there that day. I went home for my chilled Sunday, which I like to chill on a Sunday, and just chilling out on the sofa, and Maurizio phones me. He said, they just phoned and they're coming, Really? I said, okay. He says, get your ass down here. So I did.
So you train every suit you've got on? And,
can't remember what I was wearing. All I knew is I needed to get down there because, the 80s was a time when, in the 90s, he was in all the top movies. He was like a hero. So we got down there. my excuse was I was bringing some cigars, you know. So the entourage and the security would say I'm his best mate, I'm bringing cigars and let me in. And after a eating, we all sat around the table, drinking red wine, smoking cigars, even though at that point it was probably not allowed.
Yeah, I think I've seen the photo of Sylvester
yeah.
Stallone.
Yeah. So to me, somebody like that was just, and for Maurizio to have that in his place, just amazing.
I mean, I as I said to you earlier, I worked in Nonna's way back when, and for me, I was starstruck all the time because people were coming in, and you know, Di Canio coming in, Carboni coming in, and I was just sort of like, you know, serving them coffee. Just
yeah. They were there all the time, all the Wednesday boys, particularly the Italians. So you know, back then, me and Maurizio, it was down to us to help them kind of, because they didn't really have the infrastructure you've got now where people help them out, you know, coming from a different country and getting a mobile phone that works in the UK, it was all different then, you know. Yeah. Knowing your way, you know, sat-nav wasn't about really then, no. So I remember showing Carboni the way to the training ground in Hillsborough.
You used to come in on a Sunday with, you know,
smart,
suit and tie and sort of like, just looked like something out of The Godfather.
Yeah, cool guy, you know, nice people. And for Wednesday at the time, they were in the Premier League. Yeah. They were doing really well.
I mean, 25 years on, it's as bad as
it's not as good.
It's as bad as it's been, isn't it, to be fair?
Yeah,
but you're a Blade, aren't you?
Well, I'm both. I mean, I do go watch United more often. I say I'm both because, when I was early 20s, I used to go with my mates that were into Wednesday. Went to was it Coca-Cola Cup final, and then they won the cup. And you know, I used to go quite a lot to Hillsborough back then, but more recently it's more United, and I wanted my son to see Premier League football, so we got season tickets the year before. Maybe the year they went up actually.
It's amazing that the switch hasn't happened, has it, with Wilder? I thought as soon as Wilder comes back, it's going to be. I mean, I still think they'd be there and thereabouts for playoffs.
You know, it's great that he's back. It's great that he's back, and obviously, you know, in my opinion and many people's opinion, it was a crazy move. You know, it was one VAR goal for being in the Premier League.
Yeah. And I said this at the time, arguably, I mean, he's in the mix for the best United manager of all time. Gets sacked off the back of that, and you just sort of think, it's...
it was great.
But in all fairness, I mean, I've never been a massive fan of Wilder. I did think it was the wrong decision, but obviously he says a lot of things that, I'm on the fence about. But in all fairness, when he came back in, he weren't griping about it. He come in gracefully and said all the right things.
It's a club he loves. He'd jump at the chance and get another opportunity. So, you know, he, and I'm sure 100% is going to turn it around. I
think it.
I say both because as a kid, growing up in the 80s, there was only one team. You know, a bit like people, you know, maybe I was a glory hunter, maybe, I don't know. But Liverpool, So I've always been a big Liverpool fan. And back then, I used to be part of the South Yorkshire Supporters Club, so I used to go to Anfield quite a lot with a group of people, getting the train, going to Anfield, paying, there's no tickets really then, but £1.50 to get in the cup, you know. You didn't need tickets either, which was great. Went to Wembley a couple of times, so Liverpool's always been my passion, and you know, it's good that we've had a resurgence lately. Okay, we've had a bit of a wobbly week or so, lost 3 on the trot.
It makes me laugh, like a week of sort of poor results, and everybody's throwing the pramp.
And we're league champions, you've got to remember that. And
I still think they'll win the league.
I do.
So, obviously, we're here today, and obviously whilst you've only been here since 2014, it started in November 2020, is that right? Sorry, 2000.
November 2000.
So you're coming up to the 25th anniversary.
Years,
what's the plan and the diary for sort of celebrating that?
Yeah, well, a big party. I was. So we're still organising when that's going to be, and we'll invite people, friends that have been part of the Cubana family over the years and customers and stuff, and put on a buffet, put on some drinks on arrival, and we did it when we had a 15th birthday, so the bar that night will be the same price drinks as they were in November 2000. So I think beers were like bottle beers were £2.50 now. So essentially it's pretty much half price.
Yeah.
So we do something like that, get some good bands, get some good musicians, DJs, and make it one big party, all on a Sunday night. I'm just about to finalise the date on that. After 14 years down there, and after already deciding to take a package to leave the day job, literally 1 month before, we got the opportunity to move here. And then it was like, okay, for me, although it was just 3 days a week at the time in the day job, that was a pretty safe number. This is a bigger kettle of fish. Is it something I want? Half of people were saying, why would you change Cubana? Little Cubana's great, blah, blah, blah. And the other half were saying, it's a great opportunity. So me and Brad, my business partner, we said, what should we do here? And I thought to myself, conversations we had with Brad together, what I didn't want is to be in my rocking chair when I'm much older than now, because I'm not ready for it yet, and then to regret not doing something. I'd rather regret and fail than to be to be in the rocking chair and to regret not have done something. So
I think this place, because I went to old Cubanas, and like I say, I had some great nights down there. But as I said to you before, we don't go out there very often, or I don't go out very often since I'm a dad. Rarely go out. 9 times out of 10, if I do come out, I'll end up in here, and I'm always sort of wowed by the vibe in here. It's a bit different, and just how busy it is. It's sort of set me off.
The vibe has always been one of the biggest things to keep right, and the music is a big part of that. Obviously, we do live music as well. But also, what is massive, maybe not everybody realises that straight away, is safety. Having a good door team, having Ahmed, who works for me as our head of security, he's been working with me for over 20 years, right? And we know that to keep a nice place for people to come and enjoy and come week in, week out, to keep a nice, safe place, it's important to have a really good team to make sure that the kind of people coming in are the people that won't affect that negatively. And so,
do you have much trouble? Have you had much trouble?
No, that's the point. It's about having a strong team at the beginning to ensure that we keep it.
I was going to say, you can't go anywhere without having 3 or 4 guys on the door nowadays, but I've never had or seen any trouble or anything like that.
No. Well, like I say, I realised at an early stage, especially coming here, that having a good door team was vital to keeping longevity in this game, and not because Sheffield's more trouble than other cities. It isn't compared to other cities. It's pretty safe, but at the end of the day, you just need to protect what you've got and make sure that.
I think it has changed, though, hasn't it? It's changed in the sense that I notoriously was a bit leery back in the day, and I often joke that sort of now I don't think you get away with that in the same way that I've probably talked my way out of a few beatings over the years, but I think nowadays they're not even beating people. Probably they're getting
no, of course not. You've got to be careful. You've got to handle things in the right way. It's just about it's just about making sure the right people, as much as you can, are coming in and creating a nice vibe, and making sure the people that come in, especially ladies, feel safe. And that's key. So when we had the decision to make, it was right, could little Cubana work in a bigger venue? And we came one January night. We were still making the decision. Came when the previous place, Platillos, was still open. It was beautiful. It's a beautiful building, and they've done it out really nicely. And we said, we walked away. Had the weekend to think about it, and we decided, you know what, let's do it. So me and Brad said, yes, we're going to go for it. But we knew key to making it work as well was separating the two floors, which wasn't like that before. It was kind of a bit opened up really between the two. So as you were walking up the stairs, it's one sound system for the lot.
Mm-hmm.
But the way we operate, our business model is having at times quite different things going off at the same time. And having the soundproofing and separating the two floors is a big part of that. Obviously, the big part of the success as well has always been the food. You know, we were very lucky to have Fabian Cruz as our head chef. 15 years altogether. We did 14 years down there in the first year here. And his number two, Erky, took on the mantle until possibly less than a year ago, when he emigrated to Gran Canaria, and his number two, Ryan, has taken over. He's doing a great job. You know Ryan from before.
Used to work with Ryan. Used to live with him.
He said that actually. He's done a fantastic job, and a place like this, it's all about the staff. It's all about, you work in recruitment as well, right?
Yeah.
And you need to handpick the right people that fit in the dynamics and be good with the customers and be good with each other and create a family. And that's one of the things that we've tried to do here.
Yeah.
You don't always do it. Sometimes you get
it wrong.
a bad apple.
Yeah.
And it's a bit difficult when that happens, but you find a way.
You don't know until somebody's on board sometimes. But so how do you go about? What's your recruitment process? Are you still heavily involved in that, or do you just leave the management?
Yeah, I'd say yes, although probably in the last year or so, because I feel they know the management team. We've got a great management team. They know what it is that I want, and that they want the same thing. Outgoing, nice people with a good vibe about them, positive vibe.
Yeah.
And you don't have to be the best at making a mojito.
It's funny actually, because I told a few people this week that were interviewing you, and every one of them were like, "What a nice guy." So it must be great to have that sort of reputation as a good guy.
Well,
That's how I like to think people talk about me.
Yeah, it's nice to hear that, and I've always strived not, I don't want to make enemies with anybody really. As long as I behave myself, there's no reason why that should be the case. And and obviously I work in a social environment, and it's a nice, happy place, and there's drinks flowing. So most people say that because they've had a few drinks. No, just joking. But life's too short. It's better to have many friends and just treat people well. That's what I try and teach my own kids. You look after people, be nice to people, be humble, and in life you shouldn't have a problem.
Absolutely. So obviously 25th anniversary around the corner next month. What after that? What's the plan? Are you always innovating here, or is it much of the same for the next sort of another 25 years?
Well, I'm not here as much during the week, for example, but I like to be here when I can on the weekend, particularly Saturdays, but on Fridays. But we're doing quite a lot of really good bands on Fridays now, so I'm kind of trying to split between the Fridays and the Saturdays, because I want to make sure that I have plenty of quality family time as well. And we do, we go away as much as we can because that I don't think you can beat quality time like you can on a family holiday when you're spending day in day out with each other.
I saw something the other day and it was saying that a child's core memories are almost purely made up of holiday vacation.
Yeah, it's weird, isn't it? Everything else that goes off is kind of goes over the head, but they remember the holidays and
We went to, me and my wife went to Madrid earlier in the summer and the girls got jealous of my daughters, so we booked it for next year and we're doing Duolingo every day at the moment, so we're day 52 or whatever, and it's sort of like a daily thing now. Once we've had the dinner and we sit down and do Duolingo, and it's sort of like I'm sure when we get there we'll just sort of speak blabber English to people.
Spanglish,
yeah, it's great to sort of get them involved.
But it's great.
Are your kids Duolingo? Do they speak,
no, not really.
Italian?
Not really, because my father didn't speak Italian to me in the home, mainly because he was from a small village that spoke a strong dialect.
Right. Yeah.
That was very.
I mean, you don't really think about regional dialects abroad,
in Italy,
but I'm sure
it's
that
massive. Yeah. And so he wanted me to learn real Italian, and so when we were kids, we all went to Saturday school to learn Italian. And then when I was 18, I became the guy that, back then, Brexit, as I say, people used to come over and work here, and I was always the guy that people sent to, because I was the one that showed everybody around, and all the young 18, 19, 20-year-old, many of whom are still friends. I was the guy showing them around and, being the social, ambassador, if you like.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm trying to introduce you to Mattia at Paradiso Tenerife. I know he sort of said he's looking for staff, and I sort of said you're the guy, so I'll try and get you guys even for a coffee. And
but it'd be nice. The more I heard his place is really good, and
I saw something. I don't know what he's called, but there's a guy who goes around tasting. You've probably seen him. He does. He's from Sheffield, and he tastes stuff. And they're now serving. It's a coffee with a tiramisu on top, and looks a bit messy to me. I'm sure I'd tackle them, no problem. So.
No, it'd be nice to go. Maybe we should check it out sometime soon. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, good stuff. So now that you know about the podcast, and obviously. I say now that you know about it, you're one of the first people I asked to join us, but we sort of waited until 25th anniversary was coming up. But now, who do you think we should potentially interview next?
Well, you've already got Maurizio on the agenda, right?
Yeah, Maurizio. I think their 30th anniversary next year.
No, they passed it. I think it was last year.
Ah, okay.
No, sorry.
I'm sure he said
next
year.
Summer. It's 96. Yeah. So I was thinking the 25th. Okay, well, I'd say somebody should do probably, again, another friend of mine, Jan. Yeah, because Jan has got a fantastic place now.
I was going to say, I've not seen him for years. Where is he now?
He's got an amazing street food and restaurant location on Abbey Road called Northtown.
Right.
And
you mentioned it earlier, but I didn't know that.
They are like, the food is top notch. They've got a fantastic team. Jan and Pasquale, his partner, his business partner, the knowledge of wines and Negronis, particularly in cocktails, and food, obviously. That's who me and Maurizio, Pasquale and Jan, we were together in the Amalfi Coast 10 days ago. Had a great time, and they're constantly trying to improve their offer, and it's a fantastic offer anyway. But they always try new things, and it's a great menu, very rustic, very chilled. So I think
Jan, you can intro me into Jan. Like I said, I popped in and saw Maurizio, and as I say, we planned to interview him. Like I say, I'm pretty sure he said next year's his 30th anniversary. I mean, I remember when I worked there, they had the old Fiat 500 outside.
I think he caught fire, that one.
Yeah. So we've been supping rum on episode. What's this?
So this one's my favourite one, which is why I brought it out. It's from Barbados, from a company called Plantaray, and they made this particular rum to celebrate their 20th anniversary. Actually, I was there a couple of years ago around the plantation, and it's very impressive, very impressive. So when I offer this drink to customers, well, this is the one that I offer because for me it's one of the best.
Yeah, it's quite. I mean, I'm not.
And it's not expensive.
I'm not a connoisseur but that's one that I could steadily suck all day. I normally have it over ice, whereas I don't think that needs it.
Certain rums might be better with ice, but generally the good rums are better straight like this. So I know you said you like your rums with mixers. Maybe you do a bit more without them.
Yeah. So you say it's not expensive. And you can pick out
for a good quality rum, £7.50 a measure is decent.
Yeah, good stuff. Well, Adrian, I just like to thank you for having us today, and it's took us a year to get it in the diary, but well worth the wait, and I wish you all the best for your 25th anniversary. Hopefully I've got myself an invite to the
of course you have,
your celebration, and I look forward to coming and celebrating, and hopefully you let me buy you a drink for once.
Well, I'm not sure about that, but you're definitely welcome.
Good man. Adrian,
good to see you. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot, James. Thank you. Right.